Hi everybody, I'm Kat, and this is my study cave. Today we're going to be talking about Goodnotes 5 versus Notability, whether you're into digital planning or if you're a student like me, and how the two apps compare. If you like this video, please go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in seeing tips and tricks as well as how I use these two apps in my studies as a first-year Doctor of Physical Therapy student in the Pacific Northwest. Without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about Goodnotes versus Notability. So the first thing I want to do is just kind of pop into the apps, talk a little bit about their costs, then we'll do some overview. So let's come on in here into Goodnotes 5. And the first thing I want to talk about is just the pricing of the two apps. So I'm going to pop that up on the screen right now. And if you wanted to purchase Goodnotes 5, you can buy Goodnotes 5 with every feature it includes for $7.99. Notability did release a free version at the end of 2021, but they do also have a paid version, which is now $6.99 for the first year, and then I believe $11.99 after that. I'll have all that on the screen to confirm. So let's go ahead and just take a little bit of a look at the apps, their organization systems, and some options. So Goodnotes theme is in dark mode here, and it is directly tied to the system theme. So because I keep my iPad in dark mode, my Goodnotes is also in dark mode. It does also have a light mode. And you can see this is what Goodnotes in light mode looks like. And so I'm just going to go ahead and switch that back because I personally much prefer dark mode. It's easier on the eyeballs. Awesome. So we're back here in dark mode. Let's just take a look now at Notability. So if we come into Notability, we have some themes options if we go down here to our settings and we go themes, and it has a light, a dark blue, and a jet black. And those are all the themes that you can choose from. So let's talk about the organization system. We're going to switch back to Goodnotes. We're going to go back and forth. So in Goodnotes, for the organization system, it's very much like the files on a computer. So if I show you my school folder here, you can see it has folders within it, and then it also has these, which are notebooks. And I believe this is just a quick note over here. So let's pop into DPT Year 1. That's me, first year Doctor of Physical Therapy student. And let's take a look at what we've got. So from last semester, fall 2021, you can see how we just keep going through folders here. And if I pop into this one, we have a notebook in here. So this is where I did my neuroscience notes. So I would annotate PDFs and PowerPoints, both of which Goodnotes is really good for. And then I would take notes here. And these are my neuroscience notes. And so you can see there's a lot of fun things you can do with Goodnotes. I will put a small disclaimer here. These drawings were mostly done in Procreate, if I remember correctly. I do sometimes do sketches. I think these sketches are in Goodnotes, but I do a lot of my sketches in Procreate. So important to note that. So in Notability, we have kind of like file folders. They remind me of like tabs in sort of an organizing file that you would have in person as opposed to on a computer. Was a weird way to describe that. But so you have, for instance, I have fall 2022, but then I can't have files within the subset. So if I go here to my DPT 520, I have individual notes under that, but I can't have more files under there. So I can't organize like I did in Goodnotes where I had it listed out by exam. So in my opinion, that is a downside to Notability, but up to you whether or not that matters. So now we're back in Goodnotes, and I want to talk about the backup options. So both of them are going to be in your settings, and they do have standard backups, and iCloud backup obviously is an option for both of them. Where we do have a little bit of difference, should this be relevant to you, is if we go into our automatic backup settings. In Goodnotes, we have Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive. And in Notability, we've got those same three, Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive, as well as Box, WebDAV, and obviously no backup. I don't even know what WebDAV is, or if it's WebDAV. Let me know in the comments below if anyone knows. So starting with Goodnotes here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Quick Note feature. So I just tap New, and the bottom here I tap Quick Note, and it's just going to open a note with the last template I was using. And from there, I'm able to obviously use this as a regular note. I can, of course, save it and all that fun stuff. In Notability, I click on the bottom right here. This opens me a new quick note, and ta-da, new quick note. And again, it opens with my previous template. So one thing I do really enjoy about Goodnotes is how easy it is to switch between templates. So if I come into the top right corner here, this plus button on a piece of paper, I can really easily change to my most recently used templates. And then I can also go more from templates. And I have tons of options. And what's really fun about Goodnotes is there is a really easy option to add new templates. In Notability, to my knowledge, you can't actually add a new template. You have a fair amount of customization among the templates, which is pretty cool. One thing I do really like is that, for instance, you can change the grid spacing, but you can't add customized templates. You can import a PDF and then duplicate pages, so that's a way to add a template, but when you open a new document, that's not an option. So for instance, if I wanted to do that, I need to go back out here. I need to go download, and we're gonna go files, and let's do .grid dark, because I like dark notes. We're gonna create a new note. That's fine. And then from here, I can duplicate this page. So just like that. It's a little bit awkward, and please let me know in the comments if somebody knows a smoother way to do that. I'm sure there's probably a better option, but I don't know of a better way to do that in Notability. Now in Goodnotes, we can really easily add a new template like this. This is one of the templates I've actually made. And then we just, for vertical, pull to add another one. If we're doing horizontal, we swipe sideways. And what is fun in Goodnotes is if we go, we're gonna go ahead and save that as untitled. If we go to the settings from here and we go notebook templates, I can actually scroll all the way over and then import a new template. And so from here, I could import that same .grid dark that we used. And we're just gonna hit done. Let's go back to that document we had, open up here, more from templates, and it should appear on the far right now. And now we have the same .grid dark that we added to our Notability template. So next up, we're gonna talk about the options that you get starting with the pen. So in Goodnotes, we've got 3 different pen types. We've got brush pen, which is for like hand lettering and calligraphy. We have a ball pen, which has no pressure sensitivity. And we have a fountain pen, which has adjustable tip sharpness and pressure sensitivity. And these are the settings that I like to keep it on. We also have a zoom window. So if you want to be able to write extra big down here, but see more of your paper up here, you can do that. So we'll just go in here. And you see this blue window that appears. What that's going to do is that's going to pop over to the side so that I don't run out of writing space. So I'll show you here. And you can see how it's scooched over there. We can just close that. That's one way. We can also just zoom in, and I'll switch pens here. And I'm just going to write the same thing in the ball pen. And then in the brush pen. And as you can see, my hand lettering's not that great, but I do actually think this pen's pretty all right. I prefer to hand letter in Procreate, but that's a video for another day. So that's the pen tool. So let's take a look at the eraser next. We have erase entire stroke or partial stroke. It's currently on partial stroke. And what that does is it just erases part of the line there. And we can just hit undo up here. or we can erase the entire stroke, which was like that. We can also undo by tapping with 2 fingers. We can also undo by swiping left with 3 fingers. And then if we wanted, we can redo by swiping right with 3 fingers. If you miss, it's a little finicky. Let's undo that. And then we have the highlighter tool. Now this isn't going to show up as great on dark paper, but I do think it does a pretty good job. And you'll see that I have it set to snap to a straight line. So here's draw in a straight line where I don't even have to hold it down and it snaps. I have it so that if I hold it down, it snaps. And one fun thing we can do is Goodnotes does have an erase highlighter only feature. So I had it on entire stroke, so it just automatically erased the entire stroke. Next up, we have the shapes tool. And Goodnotes can do circles. Obviously we can do squares. Obviously they don't have to be very good. And then you can also tap and grab the corners to manipulate your shape, which is a lot of fun. We can do triangles. We can do diamonds. Dorit thought that was an oval. Double tap to erase. Apparently I can't draw a diamond. There we go. And it also does stars. And we can also change, so there's a fill option. So it's going to fill the image with a almost like highlighter effect background. So you can kind of see that there. So next up is the lasso tool. So that's this one on the top here. And let's just lasso our star and we can move it around. If we click on it while it's in the lasso, we can resize it. And it's pretty nice because in Goodnotes, you can resize Goodnotes things larger and they don't lose any quality. So that's really nice. This doesn't apply, obviously, if you add images. We can change its color. We can cut, copy, and delete, all pretty standard. We can add it as an element. Let's go ahead and do that. And so what that does is this is basically the sticker collection within Goodnotes that they added, I believe it was sometime last year. And let's just add this to cute. And if I pop over here to elements, then our little stars right there. One bonus is any element you created in Goodnotes does retain the ability to be adjusted in terms of color. So that's a lot of fun. We'll select that and we'll just delete it. And then finally, we can take a screenshot, which allows us to export this image to somewhere else. And of course, we can click on this one and we can import from our camera roll. So I've just got some washi tape. It's a PNG, so it's a transparent background. We can crop that. And then we can just pretend to tape something on or use it to write on, whatever you want. We can select and move it around. And under the selection tool here, we do have the option to turn images off. So if I turn that off, I can no longer select the washi tape. All right, so we're gonna go over the same items here in Notability. Now, the first thing you may have noticed is this bar on the left here is your favorites. So what that is that allows you to select favorite objects. So these are pens and highlighters. So it saves both the size and the color. So for instance, let's see, we're on a tapered end. So we're gonna go, hi. And then for instance, this purple one I have saved as thicker. And we do also have that zoom window. It's just down here. So we can put it up here. Let's do red. And that's our little zoom window in Notability. And as you can see, I managed to write a lot smaller there. Let's go ahead and do the eraser next. One thing I do really like about Notability is it does have a pixel eraser. So if we zoom in really small here, I can erase just the individual edges here. So it's more or less erasing the pixels. So you can get the exact line you want. So if you're doing a lot of diagrams in your notes, that is one thing that Notability is definitely better at. We just press undo up here, or we can undo by swiping left. There's no redo button up here, so your only redo option is the 3-finger swipe right. The 2-finger tap does not work. The 3-finger swipe left, however, does. And then we do have the highlighter. And one thing, both the highlighter and the pen, and I kind of skimmed over it, here's the pen tool, but they have more options in terms of dashed and dotted lines, but they have less options in terms of adjustability. In Goodnotes, we had a slider. Here in Notability, we have set sizes, and this is true for both the pen and the highlighter. So the highlighter tool has some options here. However, it does not work on dark paper in Notability. So if we scroll down here, you can see the highlighter tool, and it does have that same snap to align feature. It also has a tapered end. Don't really know why you would want to use that. And the tapered end will also snap to a grid and become a uniform size. And then we have the Lasso tool, where we can select. Oh, look, it does highlight. You just can't see it at all. And one thing that's nice here is the duplicate option, which lets us just copy and paste without having to take the time to press copy and paste. So after we've duplicated it, one fun thing we can do is change the style, where in Goodnotes, we're able to change the color, but in Notability, we can also change the pen size and whether or not it's solid or dotted or dashed after the fact. Now, one thing I want to note here is when it comes to color selection, I do think Notability has the better tool, because in addition to having all these options, which you can add manually, which you can also do in Goodnotes, but what you can't do in Goodnotes is Notability actually has an eyedropper tool. And so that's a really nice touch, and I really wish that Goodnotes would add that. However, if you want to see a pretty simple workaround that you can use on your iPad, drop a comment below, and I can definitely make a video that includes some useful tips and tricks for Goodnotes, as well as a video for Notability if you're interested. Now, Notability doesn't have a built-in shape tool. However, much like Goodnotes, you can also create a shape simply with the pen tool. So we can do our squares, and you see here immediately I have it set. It has a different type of fill. So this fill is non-transparent, and if we go to style, we can go fill and remove it. So I don't think that that's necessarily any better or worse than what you can do on Goodnotes. It's just different. However, I will note that Notability cannot do stars. Maybe it likes me better for triangles though. No, it did. No one likes my triangles. Apparently I'm just not a triangly person. Now, one other thing I want to touch on comparing these two apps in terms of their functionality is one of the ways that I use them as a student, which is being able to import and export media so that I can take my notes. So one thing that I find myself doing a lot is importing pictures, whether they're screenshots or images, so that I can annotate them directly if there's something that a professor hasn't provided on a PowerPoint that I happen to want. So we're going to go back to Goodnotes, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to import a piece of media. We already did the washi tape, but let's go ahead and import a little clip note I have, and I'm not going to bother cropping it. I'm just going to put it over here. And so really easily I can just add that, and then I can take some note on it. Let's just say this is my to-do list, and I can just hold that and it snaps straight. And then let's just say I needed to go grocery shopping. And then if I have the lasso tool with images selected, I can just select this whole thing and move it around, and I can copy it and I can easily paste it, and it's going to go ahead and keep the transparent background as well as the text that I had. And then I can also adjust them as a unit here. So the text's gonna move. One thing to keep in mind is that since the list is a image, it is going to lose quality as it gets bigger, whereas the text will not. Now for Notability, we're going to tap this plus in the corner and we go to Photo Library and we can select that image and hit add. And I do think that that's actually a little bit more intuitive in terms of adding an image, so that's pretty nice. And another thing is if you see these pink lines that are showing up here, Notability actually has some basic snap to grid features, which is really helpful if you're trying to line things up and is something that Goodnotes does not. So let's just do the same thing here. I could make that a perfect box, but I don't see that as being necessary. And then we can take our lasso tool and, So one thing I find is that Notability does not select the image with the lasso tool. You can tap on it and then you're able to grab it and move it around, and that will bring the text with it, but not the other way around. Whereas in Goodnotes, if we have to be on the image to be able to tap an image, but then if we tap the image, it brings the image without the text. There's nothing one way or the other about that in particular. They're just very different options. One thing that I find myself doing a fair amount of as a student is adding images from the internet so that I can annotate them in my notes. So one thing we can do is if we have them open and side-by-side viewed, we have Google Chrome over here and we have Goodnotes here, I can just tap and drag and pop that right into Goodnotes. And with Notability, we can do exactly the same thing. Notability has also added support for side-by-side windows. This used to be something they didn't have. And if you're a student, this can be really handy if you have a PowerPoint on one side and you're trying to take your own notes on the other side. If you are planning and you have maybe a to-do list on one side and a planner on the other side, whatever you have, this can be really useful to be able to have two of the same. And we can also do the same thing with Goodnotes. And as of iPad OS 15, another really nice feature is, let's say we have the internet open, is both of these apps will allow you to do the small little overlay and then it swipe them off to the side. We can do the same thing here with Notability, and that's a feature of iPad OS 15 that's been a really nice update. Now the last thing I'd like to touch on with these two apps is importing non-image media. And if somebody knows of a way to do this that I don't, please do let me know in the comments below. But to my knowledge, in Goodnotes, all you have to do is tap the plus over here and you can simply click import, and I can import any type of PDF, PowerPoint, anything like that. For instance, these are all PDF templates that I have created for Goodnotes. Let's just say I want this one, and ta-da, it's been imported. In Notability, to my knowledge, there is no way to import media from within this page. So if I click here, I get Photo Library, Document Scan, and Camera, none of which are what I'm looking for. Templates here doesn't add any custom templates. So what you have to do in Notability is go out here, import media this way, and then from there, I can add it to an existing note. So I can add it to that note we've been working on. But it takes a bit longer and it's significantly more hassle. Now, as I said, if someone knows of a better way to do this, please do comment below and let me know. But to my knowledge, that's the best way to do it. Maybe it's a feature of having the subscription, since I did pay for Notability before it was a subscription base, so I do not have the current subscription model. So there you have it, everybody. There is my comparison of Goodnotes 5 versus Notability. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Also leave a comment below and let me know what kind of content you'd like to see next, whether it be a week in the life with my iPad mini or what it's like to be a Doctor of Physical Therapy student in 2022. As always, I look forward to seeing you guys all soon. Hope you're having a wonderful week. Bye-bye.